Hi, this is Richard Patrick from Filter, and this is an exclusive interview for COMA Music Magazine.
So, your guitarist, Rob Patterson,
Yes.
recently got invited to the Sheen compound.
Yes, he did.
Was he worried about that Charlie's special charms would suck him deep into the violent torpedo of truth?
The torpedo of truth. I don't know too much about the goings on at the Sheen house. I think Rob is filled with guitar lessons. I know they've been friends for a long time, so it's just kind of interesting. So I really don't have that much of a comment. I know that he's sober, and I know that he's
Sure.
he like is he's kind of that way in real life. But I mean, shit, I have ADD and all kinds of issues, so I know what it's like to kind of be a little bit of a freak.
Sure. Now, keeping on the same sort of track here, you had Rob's fiance, Carmen Electra, in the video for No Love.
Yeah.
The best part of the video is you screaming in the band's faces while sitting at a card table while they do their best to keep their poker faces on.
Yeah.
How much involvement do you have on the making of the videos?
On those two videos that Mark Racco did, I just kind of backed up and just let him roll with it because he had a clear vision of what he thought would be cool. And I'm grateful. Carmen did a great job. They said, let's get Carmen and have her do some choreography, and I was like, oh my God, how can this work? Only because when I think of choreography, I think of,
Yeah.
But, she's, she can pull it off. I mean, she's amazing, and, it was really great to have her. I was actually shocked. And screaming at my bandmates' faces was actually kind of fun. And they're kind of used to that, so.
A little therapeutic.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Hey Man, Nice Shot was featured in Rock Band 3. Now, as a Filter fan, this was really fun to play and an amazing way to feel like you're actually kind of part of the band. So how involved were you with getting Hey Man, Nice Shot into Rock Band 3? And are there any plans to release any more Filter material for the game?
In Rock Band, I think, it's essentially they call you and they go, hey, we want to use this song. And you're like, great. And part of the reason why I was kind of shocked that they wanted it was because they were like, you've been so hard at work, and we've seen the band's name all over the place with anthems and everything like that, and going to Iraq and doing MySpace and stuff. And they were just like, it was like, you're back. Let's put some stuff on and do your stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, cool.
So you're back. So let's put your old song on there.
Yeah, isn't that how it works? Yeah, they want things that are really recognizable,
that
people know, so they can jam.
Now, on the topic of Hey Man, Nice Shot, at the time when it came out, alternative radio stations weren't quite as dominated by hard rock as they are now. Have you been properly thanked by the new rock bands for helping pave the way for their accessibility?
I've ran into several bands that have always been really, they've been just amazing. Like, the Shinedown guys and all those guys are just super nice, and they're like, we love Filter. So it's nice. It's flattering.
Now, you wrote a very honest article for Suicide Girls,
Yeah.
in which you denounced and spoke openly and honestly about religion.
Yeah.
In that article, you said, in times of trouble, I turn to what I consider to be my higher power, the incredible power of nature.
Yeah. Or what we know of it.
Right.
Ultimately, ultimately, it's really about what you know. I mean, like, for me, inventing things and kind of, then he walked on water, and then the next thing he did was he healed people, healed the sick, and it just sounds made up. But
Sure.
when you look at doctors and all of their information and everything that they've done, they've actually healed the sick, and so I'm not saying I just don't. I think that 40% of this country, is agnostic or non-believer and atheist, but no one represents us in Congress, So,
Right.
it's just one of those things where I just feel like you give a microphone to somebody and they'll just say what they want. I'm on this planet for a short amount of time like the rest of everybody else, and I just want to be able to say what I want to say in my art,
Sure.
I mean, Fox News isn't gonna, you know what I mean? They're gonna do whatever they want, you know what I mean? Like, everybody should have a voice, and if you're in a situation where you can kind of, I mean, look at the Christian faith. I mean, the Salem witch hunts, and the shuffling, the Catholics, how they shuffled all those pedophile priests all over the place, and they're moving everything around. And it's just like, is that, my wife's Christian or something, she doesn't ram it down people's throats and hold it as some kind of standard.
Sure.
She just prays at night before she goes to bed, and that's, to me, what it should be about. It's the extremists that ruin everything, and
Right.
and I think that there's a lot of extremists. I think the Tea Party is extremist. I think that Islamic fundamentalists are extremists. I think that if religion could get the hell out of the way, and rational thought could just kind of, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so I voiced my opinion, but the record isn't completely all about what I think about religion, or you know what I mean. It's a record that I think you can get lost in, and you don't have to. It's not like it's a as agenda oriented as maybe my last record or something like. There's no agenda with this. It's just kind of like, you know what, I think this sucks, and I said it there, kind of thing. There's a couple of songs on the record that take a poke at religion.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of songs on the record that talk about how drugs could be a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of, it's, when I did Short Bus and when I did Title, it was just a free-for-all. I wanted to just say what I wanted to say and not really talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the minute you tell one person at your record company what something's about, they're going to find out. When I did the record, I wasn't looking for one specific. I just, my earlier stuff was kind of like, lyrics aren't, you don't have to necessarily even tell people what things are about. Mm-hmm. People ask me, and I feel like I really actually am getting to a point where I'm kind of like, you know what? There's all sorts of messages on that record. M400 is about, it's the 400th anniversary of when they imprisoned Galileo for saying that the earth goes around the sun and not the other way around. In fact, we might not be the center of the universe. We actually might be, and he was imprisoned,
Right.
By the church. And, I don't think we should forget that kind of stuff. I mean, it's still there. I mean, So, Mitt Romney literally thinks the Bible is the literal word of God. This man is running for president. It's not, how can you, it's the earth is 6,000 years old. It's 4.5 billion, and we figured it out because we have mountains of geological proof. And it's just like, that kind of stuff aggravates me, and I think it should, to like any person that's even thought about like some of the things that we've learned. And that's, to me, my higher power is man's knowledge. It's what we understand. It's our conscience on this whole thing. We literally can look out. We can use the Hubble Space Telescope and look out and see other galaxies and know that there are billions of stars, just in like hundreds of billions of stars in some of these galaxies, and there are trillions of galaxies. And it's just like we know that. We pointed a telescope, we figured it out, we did the math, and it's just like, the Bible doesn't say anything about that. The Bible doesn't say anything about like if this was written by God, then don't you think that? And see, to me, questioning blind faith when you're indoctrinated into this thing when you're 5 by going to Sunday school, and you don't question it. And to me, it's like religion is. Gay people can't get married. It's like it's the conservative right wing that really kind of freaks me out. And so, maybe Lady Gaga says it too, but like I think that like everybody should kind of like, I don't know, man. You should, if you're gonna be in a band, isn't it about saying something and being, a little bit more? I just want to make a difference. I mean, a lot of people are like, man, I don't like what you say about God. I love that song about when people kill themselves and stuff. But I'm like, okay, that's fine too. Because at the end of the day, it's really, I'm just a rock singer, man. It's not it is entertainment, but like, if I'm gonna write lyrics, I might as well throw maybe some truth. Maybe some different focus.
Now, you've toured with many great groups throughout the years, including Smashing Pumpkins and Korn, and obviously, you've played with Nine Inch Nails. Mm-hmm. Who has been the artist that you've toured with, or that you've just come across that's inspired you or influenced you the most?
I have to say, I really did love the Smashing Pumpkins tour. That was in '96. We played with them for like 2.5 months, and it was amazing because it was literally right before they started playing stadiums in America, and it was a magical time. I mean, his music, Billy's music, Darcy, James, all those guys, it's amazing to be on that tour and watch that for them.
It's good that you've taken measures to preserve your voice, like going to a vocal coach.
Mm-hmm.
Some of your best vocals have been the worst sounding on your vocal cords. Would you recommend to a musician that just started to get a vocal coach?
Vocal coach. My warm-ups for 15 years was drinking and smoking. And my brain couldn't handle the drinking.
Sure.
My voice started getting weird. I think I'd heard it throwing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have a permanent kind of issue with it. But, it's basically, if I want to sound mean, I don't warm up. Mm-hmm. If I want to have longevity on the road, I warm up. But it's Chris Cornell once said something to me. He's like, it's like setting up the perfect golf shot. You just, you work with what you have at the moment, and like sometimes my voice gets incredibly clean sounding and not raspy, and I can't just scream because it's just like, it comes out like, it's just a note.
Sure.
So, you just kind of have to make that musical, and I honestly, if I had anything to say to the younger bands, like, yeah, man, you're going to be doing this when you're 40. You know what I mean? You're going to be, if you love music, you're going to be doing this until you're dead.
Right.
So it's actually a pretty good idea to take care of yourself. You got to try and, you gotta kind of, it's your body, it's just a body, and you got to work the muscles and everything else. And, I hated it because in the beginning I was like, I'm not going to be a jock and like, punk rock, fuck that shit. Yeah, but then it turned into, the guys that were saying that originally were dying, and,
right.
And then it was just like, I don't want to wheeze when I walk around or walk up a flight of steps and smoking and all that stuff. So I got really healthy in the last 8 years, and it's good to take care of yourself, your voice, if you want to do this for a long time. And
right.
And I know if you're a real musician, you definitely want to do it for a long time. So.